Before the success stories, the progress, there was you. You who made a choice to grow, to inspire, to overcome your own challenges. At NASM, we're in service of your limitless potential because when you keep growing, we all get stronger. And we'll never stop making your journey our mission. Join the fitness leader. Become a fitness leader. Become a certified personal trainer.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on the Master Instructor Roundtable. I'm Regional Master Instructor Marty Miller here with co-host, fellow Regional Master Instructor, dear friend, Wendy Batts. How's it going today, Wendy?
I am great, Marty. How are you?
Good. This is going to be a great week. I think we always have great weeks with our Master Instructor Roundtable, but I'm very excited because today we have a special guest, and I'm excited because the company's going through kind of a new transition, and we're bringing in one of the solutions, not even a product, a solution that I have been a big fan of since the inception of the company, since it came out. I've been using it throughout the entire OPT model. So today we get the privilege of interviewing new CEO and owner of TRX, Mr. Jack Daly.
Yes, I'm so excited. Obviously, most of us know all about TRX, but we're going to get into the nitty and gritty. So let's go ahead and bring Jack in. Hi, Jack. How are you?
Hey, Wendy. How are you? Marty, good to see you.
Yes. Well, we know you're extremely busy, so we want to say thank you so much for being a part of our Master Instructor Roundtable today. And I'm going to go ahead and kick off the first question so people can learn a little bit more about you. So if you don't mind, can you give us a little bit of a background, some background information about you, and then how you go from a fitness enthusiast who spent their career in business to now becoming the new owner of TRX?
Well, I'll take you on the shortened version of the journey. But yeah, I'm a longtime fitness enthusiast, but I'm only recently in the industry. So I acquired TRX. My wife and I acquired TRX a little over a year and a half ago. But I've been working out for decades. Prior to acquiring TRX and then becoming CEO, I spent 25 years on Wall Street. I was a partner at Goldman Sachs for almost 20 years, and then a partner at TPG Capital. And so although I worked out a lot, I didn't invest in fitness companies. I didn't even invest in consumer products companies. I was investing in industrials and services companies. And that was a bit of a second career for me. I spent 6 years before that, because I know you have a lot of educators in NASM. I spent 6 years on the faculty at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was teaching mechanical and aerospace engineering, and I was doing orthopedic engineering work. So my guess is it related to a lot of your audience. And then I found out, people on Wall Street were buying and selling companies for a living. So I decided in my early 30s to go back to business school and go to a place called Goldman Sachs and work there for almost a couple decades. And what I was doing was I was a large cap private equity investor. So I would take control of large companies for 5 to 7 years, create value, and then trade in and out of them. So that's what I was doing before TRX.
Oh, that's excellent, Jack. And, we've done some things on our side here on the business side of things because, personal trainers, fitness professionals, obviously we're out here to help people live a better life. But at the end of the day, we need to be our own business. Some of us, have bricks and mortar businesses, et cetera. So what I'd like to ask you is, as you look back at your career before you purchased TRX, do you believe your enthusiasm and dedication to being fit provided you any advantages in the business world?
So yes, I do. I actually, I was a typical in so many ways. I wasn't extraordinary at anything fitness related. I was an athlete, 3-sport athlete growing up. Went to college, got married. Building a career. And what happened for me was in my late 30s, I had been working out all along, but kind of like a lot of people, let myself go a little bit. And then when I turned the corner of 40, I blew out my knee. And I thought, okay, the only way to put off aging is to really hit it hard. And that was the turning point in my journey. That's when I really decided to really focus, because a Wall Street career, I was working 100-hour work weeks, like a lot of people in business. And it wasn't a busy week. That was a busy career. It was all the time, those kind of hours. And so for me, at that point in my life, like you could do that when you're young and get very little sleep. And we all know you kind of can always go. But when you start getting to that point, I think my serious turn on fitness really helped me from just a business standpoint, but forget about business, from a whole life and approach to life standpoint. Because what it did was it provides, a foundation in energy, enthusiasm, the way you approach everything, right? And, like my journey, so right around 40 years old, right now I'm 58, I turned the corner and really started focusing on fitness and took that very seriously. And then once you start on that journey, and that was the first component of kind of health, wellness, and happiness collectively, for me, part of the journey, fitness really turned it on. And then it was focus on eating healthy. And then I never slept. I was one of these people that, 4 hours, I was proud of the fact that I didn't have to sleep. Oh my gosh, right? I had to sleep. I just wasn't doing it, right? And so then you get started, and as you start lining up those other parts of your lifestyle, what happens is you have a better outlook. You're much more positive. You're much higher energy, and it really impacts all parts of my life, including business. So that's, as I think about where fitness fit in and kind of a turning point in my life, it was right around that.
Excellent.
So I'm going to ask the question that I'm sure everybody wants to know. When you started your journey in fitness, did you use TRX before you purchased the company? And then what was it about the company itself that's like, this is the one? I mean, it sounds like you've had opportunities to work in all kinds of businesses, but TRX, this is it.
Yeah, Wendy, it's funny. Yeah, you mentioned that. So I was certainly familiar with TRX, but I will admit I was slow on the uptake. I was first introduced to TRX in 2009 by Navy SEAL, now Navy SEAL Admiral Colin Kilrain, 3-star SEAL Admiral, terrific person. He and his wife, Susan, and our families traveled together. We were in Normandy, and his wife is Susan Still Kilrain, the second woman to pilot the space shuttle. They have 4 kids the same age as our 3. And we went to Normandy for the 65th anniversary of D-Day. And Colin's a Hall of Fame wrestler from Lehigh. And he says, we're going to go in the backyard. He's a much bigger guy than me. And he grabbed a bag and he walked down the backyard and he threw a suspension trainer over a tree. And I go, you're Colin Kilrain. What do you mean workout? And, he's a SEAL Team 6 guy. And he goes, okay, low rows, do 15. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a workout. But like I said, I'm slow on the uptake. That was 2009. And we worked out for 2 weeks in Normandy together, with our kids too. And I didn't adopt it. I just, honestly, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I just didn't, even though I recognized it was a good tool. And then I was in Long Island in Quogue, built a gym and put together a gym at our club that we work out in. And Eli Manning is one of the members, and we were working out together for, a couple months before I had the nerve to ask him, what are we missing in the gym? And this was 2014. And I said, so what do you think? He's like, hey, it has everything we need. He goes, but you got to put in a TRX. So I had Navy SEAL Admiral Colin Kilrain and Eli Manning both mentioned TRX to me. And it wasn't until very close to the time that I acquired the company that I started working out with TRX. My love for TRX really came from my relationship with Randy Hetrick, the founder. So Randy, I knew Randy socially. I was on the board of the SEAL Foundation for 10 years. I was the treasurer of the board at the time. And Randy came to me and said, hey, some guys took over my company. They're doing a financing. Can you take a look? And it's just through my friendship with Randy. And, as I mentioned, I spent 25 years on Wall Street taking over large industrial companies. Well, I retired about 3 years ago. So about a year and a half before this, I retired, and my wife and I decided to focus on, instead of investing other people's money, just invest our own money on things related to health, wellness, and happiness. And I literally walked off a Wall Street career to say, I'm going to focus on this journey of health, wellness, and happiness. And by the way, when I speak to people like you two and the NASM community, people hear that and they say, yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. When I say that to Wall Street knuckle dragging people, they're like, what do you mean? I don't even know what that means. What's your plan? Well, I didn't have a plan. It was just a direction. And so we started down that path and, invested in a hospital in LA, in an MMA gym in San Francisco. And then Randy came to me and said, hey, my company's doing a financing. Can you take a look? And I did. And I said, wow, they're doing a financing. But why don't we just acquire the company? right? And so that was part of it. Was just really through that relationship with Randy, although I was a fitness nut, but it wasn't a huge part of my training. And then when I, decided this would be a great way to spend however many years we choose to spend doing this, I ended up buying the company. Now, obviously, it's a very important part of my workout routine. But so it's a love affair, but it was a slow on the uptake love affair. I was always intrigued by it. But I kind of, I was a kid from Pittsburgh, gym rat, doing my things in the gym, and I trained jiu-jitsu and I was doing that, and I kind of had my things. I just didn't add it in. So I'm not the smartest guy on this call.
No, that's great, Jack. It's a great story. And for those of you just joining today on the Master Instructor Roundtable, Marty Miller here with Wendy Batts, and we have the privilege of speaking to owner and CEO of TRX, Jack Daly. So, Jack, you and I have had some one-on-one conversations, and when you and I get in a room, we get excited. A lot of ideas start flying around. And the way I was talking to why I love TRX so much is it's a fabulous solution. It's not a product. I think some people view it as a product. It's a solution in the suspension training vertical, which TRX owns that vertical. But it's so diverse. It does so many different things. And within NASM, having our different levels of training that everybody here watching this stage is familiar with: stabilization training, strength training, power training. TRX goes through that entire genre. You can use it in every single phase. And that's where you and I really connected and talked about, what you guys do each and every day with what NASM does, is that you have your own educational mindset, but it fits so well. And you guys are already a partner with NASM. So that's, to me, why we wanted to come together today. So now that you've owned the company for a year and a half, how have you seen those type of, relationships start to develop, and, where do you think it's going to go to next?
Yeah, Marty, I've always enjoyed our conversations because we are very like-minded. And I will say, education is foundational to what we do, absolutely foundational. And, Randy, who had exited the company before we acquired the business, who is now serves as our chairman, continues to remind me we're an education business that sells a product, right? And so for us, that education is very deep. And so, as we think about it is a solution, and it's the suspension trainer and the versatility of the suspension trainer. But the thing is, you really do need to have a cadre of people worldwide who can really educate consumers on how to use it, because this is something like you can't just throw it up and understand all the different ways to use it. So that education has always been a part of the journey for TRX and always will be. It's really important to us. And I also think, suspension training is, it's really the suspension training and functional training in general with all of our tools is really an important part of anybody's, fitness routine, workout routine, lifestyle routine. It doesn't have to be the only one. I mean, I like to push weight still, right? I like to train jiu-jitsu. A lot of people are endurance athletes. A lot of people like to do multiple things. But in that functional training lane, what we hope to bring, right, through partnerships with NASM and through our ecosystem around the world, is really bring that functional training expertise, leading with education and then following it up with world-class products that can really help people on this part of their journey, right? In some cases, this is all somebody will do. It doesn't necessarily have to be all that somebody will do, because there are other things that are fun to do, and you get psychic energy and you get other benefits. But in our world, in our little slice of the world, we want to be the best out there and provide, once again, both the education side of it as well as the innovative products.
I love it. Well, so I have a question for you, because obviously Marty and we always talk about our NASM family, and I know TRX does the same thing. You guys have a huge community behind TRX in general. So with that, what's the secret? What do you guys do on the business side to really build your community and your followers? And how do you continue to reach out to your people? And then now that you're taking kind of ownership of it, how do you see that growing?
So Wendy, I will sound like I'm really bragging about this part of the story, and I can do that because I have nothing to do with it. I have literally nothing to do with it, but I'm in awe as I continue to see the results of it. So the community for TRX has been built since day one. Randy Hetrick, 15 years as a Navy SEAL, SEAL Team 6, develops a suspension trainer. And, it's part of fitness lore now, then goes off to Stanford Business School, is working out on, in a football field with an Army Ranger off a goalpost using suspension trainer. And then all the teams at Stanford start using it. And then it just starts growing organically as he almost literally sells these suspension trainers outside of his trunk of his car. And, we're blessed. We're 20 years old and we have a world-class brand. We have one of the most notable fitness brands in the world, right? We have 350,000 certified trainers worldwide. 2/3 are outside the US. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you go to, TRX is known. Everybody knows the black and yellow. Everybody knows TRX. And there are people there who are passionate about it, which is just remarkable. And that came from Randy. Well, first of all, to know Randy is to love Randy. He is just a positive energy, can-do person that is infectious with his desire to just teach people how to be healthier people. So it started there. It then grew into the community of people that he surrounded himself with. And then it just went like wildfire through the professional trainer community worldwide. And that's how our community was built. And as I sit back, I look at it more as an academic case study, right? Because I was a part of it in the early days of the journey. But that passion in this industry runs very hot. And I see that. I keep telling people, look, for 25 years, I took over industrial and services companies, like probably the least sexy companies in business. And so I come from an outsider's view into an industry that I hope you two don't take it for granted. I don't think you do. And I hope that your NASM members don't take it for granted. It is a very positive energy industry. It really is. And it's easy to say that when you're in, but when you're outside and you recognize not all industries come in it, with people who are that way, it's amazing. And I see it. We have gatherings. We have our TRX summits. So I see it when we gather professionals from all over the world together in one location for 2 days of hardcore training. And this is 4 workouts a day kind of training, totally exhausting. But the energy level is so high because everybody really gets into it. So to be fair, I think it starts with an industry full of positive energy people who are seeking good tools to help them live healthy lives, right? And I think Randy met them with his positive energy and one of the greatest tools ever invented for fitness and health and wellness. And so I think that combination, it's kind of a match made in heaven. It just naturally grew around the world. And we still see it. I mean, we have a very engaged ecosystem. We just had a summit here a couple of weeks ago, which was amazing. We had 1,000 people gather in Athens, Greece 2 months ago for a Guinness Book of World Record event of suspension trainers. 1,000 people, average age of about 28 of the people who gathered in Athens. We have a summit going on in Belgium, in a couple of weeks, and Oxford. We're going to Namibia in October. Namibia, you think about that. We'll have hundreds of people gather in Namibia to train with TRX. And so you think about the storied brand is one thing, because it is really a known brand, but it's really because of that kind of ecosystem and that community. And it all really is through that professional trainer universe of people who are passionate. They know it works. They see the results. They enjoy it. They have fun. Their clients have fun. It doesn't matter if you have an 89-year-old client or a 24-year-old Olympic client, right? You could just meet people where they are and provide them with a really good workout. So I view it as that just magic combination of positive energy, a positive industry, and then one of the world's greatest tools that gets people excited. And then what we do now to keep that going, we have 2.5 million social media followers. And I am bragging here a little bit. You'll have to forgive me for that. But once again, marketing's not my strong suit. So I'm bragging about something I have very little to do with. Our team is just very good at coming up with these really interesting activations all over the world. And then, if you look at fitness products companies, we have 1 million Instagram followers. I think we're multiples of the next highest fitness products company, right? And so if you look at that, you kind of ask yourself why. Well, I look at it, I think, well, because it's a cool, fun tool. It's very visual. It's used by everybody. And our team keeps finding interesting ways to excite our customers, our professional customers, our commercial accounts. And so there's just lots of good information that keeps coming out, week after week, month after month. And so I think that's how you build the community by recognizing how important it is, by feeling honored and blessed that we have so many people are doing it, and then keep coming back in and trying to keep them excited and engaged, and then let them do their thing, right? Give them the opportunities to do their thing. And then every once in a while, you know what? Gather and show the world, whether we're working out in our outdoor training center in Delray Beach, or here at our headquarters, or in Athens, or in Namibia, or in Asia. We gather, show everybody that great energy, and I think that's what'll continue.
Yeah, Jack, to your point, a sense of community is fabulous, right? Like, who doesn't want to work out together? Who doesn't want to be around like-minded people? I always, and one reason I got with NASM as instructor is I figured, and Wendy's heard this, if I was the dumbest one in the room, right, I knew that my standard would be raised. So you guys, as you said, rightfully so, bragging, you've done a phenomenal job from day one, having a sense of community. But you know what, Jack, if you could address this, I think there's something that you guys do. Even another thing that you do amazing is, I call it simplexity. The product looks simple, but the application to truly understand it, to know it like a TA, one of your instructors I know, and to get to that level, you can make it more complex with changing, levers and body weight and all that. And then you have this great content, which didn't happen originally when it came out, right? Because in the early 2000s, but now you're sitting in one of the production studios I've seen. So can you talk about that simplexity, but then layering in for either the consumer or your black and yellow trainer network, how you keep feeding them more and more information?
Yes. Well, and it's funny because somebody once described it to me as the suspension trainer right over my shoulder. If you hung that up and you gave it to somebody, what they would do is they would do a row. And without education, that's what somebody would do, and they're kind of be done with it. It's like using the iPhone to just text and nothing else, right? Now, what you need to do is you have to be able to unlock all those other capabilities of suspension trainer. And we do that through very rigorous training programs that have been, built up over the last 20 years. And there's a journey that people go on, and we have a relationship with NASM through your Partner Perks program, right? That there's a exclusive program for your members to go on and do our suspension training course, which is a great course that gives you lots of foundational tools to do many things with that. But then you can go on that journey and get higher and higher level training. And so I've gotten to know lots of people who start off with one course and then can branch off into the others. And then we get up to our master level instructors. And it's a journey that's a never ending journey, because as you master one level or master one area, TRX yoga comes up. And then there's a whole different area for using the suspension trainer and yoga training. There are so many different places to go and things to unpack. And what we do is we have a very rigorous, Bryn Elliott, who many of you know and many of your members know, runs education for us, and she's terrific. She's been with the brand prior to me getting involved. And she runs our education program, and Miguel and Nathan, and we had a gathering of what we call our black and yellow, which are our most revered high-level master instructors. And we had almost 40 of them together here a couple of weeks ago, which was just terrific because they come from all over the world. So we have the foundational courses that we offer live, we offer them virtually, and then we offer them kind of self-paced online. So you have 3 different options to be able to take our courses. And we also have our cadre, our black and yellow, who are from all over the world. We got together here in Delray. We had people in from Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa, across the board, people coming together. And that's a cohort. By the way, it was a blast to see them because that group hadn't gotten together that often before we acquired the company. They went for a few years of just not gathering as often, and we're leaning into that. So you get everybody together. It's like going to a high school reunion. It's like going to your spouse's high school reunion for me because I'm like the new person, right? Getting to know everybody. But I'm quickly becoming part of the team. So, but for us, it's really through that broad network that we can get education out all around the world, and through our programs that we continue to refine and develop and provide for people through technology or in person, right? Everybody, we want to meet people in a way that makes sense to them. And we continue to do that. And then we have an education department, which is foundational to what we do, that's always innovating and always developing and then working in our new tools, right? We acquired YBEL a little while ago. And so, we have all our other functional training tools, Bandit, Rib Trainer, and others. So we have this collection of these terrific functional training tools. And so then you start, you can get YBEL trained, but now you can do YBEL and suspension training, right? You can start doing combination of tools. And so that it really goes on and on and on. That's what we'll continue to provide for people.
Yeah, and Randy, just a quick, Jack, is a quick follow-up statement. Knowing from Randy from back in the day, and I think where they nailed it, and you're going to continue to this vision is, one of the things that I've always said, Wendy's always said, is we're blessed. We work in the industry that you talked about, but education and fitness are those two races with no finish line, and clearly that's exactly what you see at TRX.
Yeah, it's just a journey. We're not going. There's no destination in our education. Right. It's just, you never peak. You just keep going. Right. Because look, at the end of the day, this is very personal for me. Metka and I, my wife and I, decided to start this journey of health, wellness, and happiness at this stage in our lives because I'm 58 years old. I'm looking at the next 50 years of leading a very good, healthy life, 50 plus years. Right. And so if you do that, you have to be intentional and purposeful in approaching it. Right. And you have to get the tools. You have to educate yourself. You have to commit yourself to one step at a time every day on the journey. Just keep going. There's no destination, right? I'm not trying to get to a certain point at a certain moment in time. I'm looking at 50 plus years ahead and leading a really healthy, fun, high octane lifestyle. And you know what? And just over the weekend, I got together a buddy of mine, and Marty, I've talked to you about Don Gruen. Don Gruen's 98 years old. He and I have been working together for 10 years. In that same gym in Long Island where Eli mentioned about the TRX, and Don, nothing spectacular about Don from an athleticism perspective. He went to Lehigh and was a Wall Street guy, but he just chooses to go to the gym 5 days a week, and I meet him in a gym, right? And and he's talking about positive energy. Walks in the room, lights up the room. He's 40 years older than me, right? I look at that, so that's an aspirational goal for me. And even that's not a destination. That's just what we're all trying to keep working towards. And so I think our educational program is the same thing. We're never going to get to, here's our library of education, and it stops there, right? And you all know that. That's why everybody in your community keeps going back, keeps getting more training, because it does make a difference.
Absolutely. And I love, the more and more Marty and I travel, and we get to do a lot of international events, it is amazing to see these individuals going out. They're teaching TRX, and like you said, the energy is unbelievable, and everybody in that room, they're having a great time. They're high-fiving, they're trying to figure everything out. And if you guys have not used a TRX, first of all, you should. And we are partners, so you get a discount. So that's also something I definitely wanted to make sure that we included in there. But Jack, we always talk about where we're going. You just talked about the vision of where you see TRX, 50 years from now, or where you're headed. And if we asked you today, what does next year look like? How would you answer that for TRX?
Yeah, so we've spent a year and a half doing a bunch of foundational work on the house. I equate it to anybody who's done a significant home remodel. We had to fix the foundation. We had to do the plumbing and electrical. Everything behind the wall really did need to be rebuilt. And when I came into the business, we were able to combine kind of the OGs, like the Randys and the Brins and the Miguels and people who've been here for a very long time, with some new people who are world-class business people who are coming in doing things the right way, making the trains run on time for us, almost literally, right? Rebuilding our supply chain, our engineering department, our marketing team. So as I look back over the last 18 to 20 months, it's really been that rebuilding the foundation. Well, in addition to that, we've launched some new products. We acquired a company, so we actually did some of those things. But if I look at the next year and a half, for us, really, we can now take all that work we did on the foundation and go to the forward, right? For example, I'm sitting in one of our 2 brand new film studios in Delray Beach. We have a terrific app and a digital ecosystem that we had our film studios in London that we then moved into temporary space in Boston. And then we, now in permanent space here, boy, we can take the gloves off on content for our app, right? And our app, we have professionals who use it, but we also have a bunch of consumers who use the app. So we can really start innovating on our core business in really interesting ways. So whether it's, like I said, our digital experience and the content we're bringing into our app is really going. You'll see the lift here over the coming months. But as I also think about the innovation with our foundational tools, one of the key areas of innovation is a connected ecosystem, right? I mean, it's just a matter of time for us to come out with a connected connected ecosystem where people can get performance feedback and better training and tracking of your workouts, better guided workouts. So I think that's one that, the connected fitness is here. I mean, people want it and it's coming in all different forms. The technology is actually much simpler than developing the proper use case, right? To be able to instrument something and come up with a reading of it. I mean, look, 35 years ago in my master's thesis, I did a patellofemoral contact force between your kneecap and your femur, measuring the three-dimensional forces there and feeding up. That was 35 years ago. I got news for you. We can measure things here pretty easily. But it's coming up with the right hardware, software, consumer electronics part of it, but also the use case, right? How will people use it? How will a professional trainer use it? How will a consumer at home use it? So we're going through a lot of work because when we do come out with it, we want to hit it right the first time and do it well. So I would say there's going to be a lot more innovation coming out of TRX, new products, right? Products that either will develop ourselves or we'll find somebody else who developed them and acquire the company. We can use this as a platform. Look, that's one thing. I've acquired companies for a living for 25 years. And it's funny because when I bought TRX, although I control the company, I have a very serious board of directors. Mark Fields was the CEO of Ford. Susan Kilrain, second woman pilot with the space shuttle. I can go on and brag about the people we have on our board. But I told them, don't let me buy a company for at least 18 months because we have a lot of work to do on our foundation. But then once we get that done, then we can start layering in other businesses. Of course, then as Lawrence walks in, Ursa, my first Ursa, I'm 6 months on the job, and Az walks in with a Y-bell. And I looked at him, I said, don't say a word. I love telling the story. I said, don't say a word. I get it 100%. I've been working out with dumbbells and kettlebells for 50 years. And he laughed and he goes, put your hand in it, mate. And I'm like, oh, geez. Okay, well, then I go to my board. I gathered them. I said, okay, your job is to tell us why we shouldn't buy Y-bell. And they had the same, impression. They're like, oh, yeah, we definitely should. So I guess as we look at it now we're actually prepared to acquire companies. We bought Y-bell and we were misbehaving. We probably shouldn't have done it, right? Because we had so much homework to do. But it was such a great opportunity and it's such a great tool. So I think going forward, you should expect us to continue to do what we've been doing, which is provide just world-class experiences with some great tools that everybody knows us for. You should expect to see us activate like we're doing, 1,000 people in Athens, a summit in Namibia, right? I mean, we're going to be doing cool things. And by the way, Wendy, I know you like to travel and you like to work out. You got to join us in Namibia. Come on down.
I want to go to Greece with you. Are you kidding me? But I'll go anywhere. So yeah.
But so we'll continue to provide those kind of experiences. We'll bring them out to the market. We'll continue to excite people about the brand. We'll keep an eye on, obviously, connected ecosystem, and that'll be coming. And then we'll continue to innovate in education and continue to bring education into multiple forms, because we all know education is different now than it was pre-COVID, certainly different than it was during COVID. And it's still to be determined how it evolves in the next few years because it's gone through this transition period. So we're staying on top of trying to innovate on all aspects of our business, products, the connected products, our marketing and our go-to-market and our experiences. So that's what we're up to.
That's great, Jackie. Now, my last question is going to be selfish, but I do know that there's other people that have gone the path I have. Back to what I said, why I got with NASM is I wanted to surround myself with the smartest people in the room. I've gone into more the business side now the last 7 years, and I love that as much. But now I'm the fitness expert, sports medicine expert who's moving into the business side. So since that was your bread and butter, there's a lot of people who do want to expand from individual personal training, own their own business, or do other things in this realm. What advice would you give to people that are a little further in their career that maybe can't pause and go to a brick and mortar school like Wharton, et cetera, but they do need to sharpen their skills within the business side? Because at the end of the day, we're all in this industry to make money for our family and have a career growth trajectory plan. But I'd love to hear from you, and maybe that will bring you back even for a longer term version of this podcast with this topic. But do you have any quick takeaways for those that are passionate about the business side?
Yeah, and I certainly do, because business I do know. Now I'm speaking with real authority from experience, not just from an enthusiastic point of view. Look, on the business side, I would say there's foundationally, you come from an ecosystem of people who are very positive energy and relationship oriented people. And I've seen it time and time again. It's I'd call your kitchen cabinet together. Your kitchen cabinet should be the more successful business people in your space that you count on to give you guidance along the way, and then be vulnerable enough to ask them the stupid questions or the uncomfortable questions, or disclose to them, information about your personal business situation that you tend to want to hide from people, because everybody wants to present a positive, successful image, but you don't get good advice from people when all they're hearing from you is everything's going great. So I would seek out others in the space who are successful, and put that group together. That, I think, is the most important part of business in any industry that you're in. I'll give you an example. Todd Durkin and his mastermind team. Todd came down here. He gets his cohort of mastermind trainers together, and they share perspectives and experiences and roundtable discussions. And it was like when I went to Wharton after teaching for 6 years. So I went from, professor instructor to student. And Wharton is a terrific business school, but it wasn't you're sitting there listening to a professor. It was because it was a petri dish environment where they put you together with other, successful people around the world from different industries that would come together in small group teams, and you would do things together in teams. I think that's an education mode, right? I don't care if you're a business school getting an MBA, or if you're just working and you're thinking about, starting a franchise, opening up a studio as part of a franchise, or going out on your own. If you have that group of 5 to 6 to 8 people that you can be vulnerable, share real information, get insight, invest in their success, right? That to me is the most important thing you can do in business. But then you have to share information with people, and you have to let them look deep inside the business. I was bragging about the world-class, board we have. These are friends of mine who have joined us on this journey. And, Mark Fields is a good example. Mark, he ran Ford Motor Company. So he ran a $150 billion company, Fortune 10 size company. But he's just such a good person, nice guy. He actually lives a couple blocks away, and he's a Jersey gym rat. So he's in here working out all the time in our gym. But he and I are very close friends. And having somebody with that kind of business acumen is valuable, because he knows intimately what's going on in this business. He's also run business all over the world, so he can bring perspective. He also came out of marketing to become the CEO of Ford. So whereas I don't have any marketing background at all, I used to acquire industrial and services companies. I didn't even acquire, consumer products companies. So marketing is the least intuitive part of business for me. But I have a very close friend who's an extraordinary marketer. So, I'm able to bring him into a situation to provide guidance along the way. And I think that's surrounding yourself with just top people. Be smart enough to listen, be smart enough to give them insight into the business, and be polite enough to invest in their success too. Like, that's, I think, a key ingredient that everybody can use, right? Whether you're making a career change or doing, just have that. And I think it's just so natural that everybody should, but I find is not everybody does, because a lot of people are guarded with what they say and what they do and how they appear. Come on, it's just us. Let's be real. We're all on this journey together, right? We're all pursuing health, wellness, and happiness. You do that by letting people in and then going on the journey with them. And then the endorphin burst you get when you're helping somebody else out is also part of your health, wellness, and happiness journey. The endorphin burst they get because, you have that relationship and they know they're helping you. Like it's all part of the goodness that we're trying to create here.
Excellent.
Well, I think that's why Marty and I do what we do, because I know especially when we used to teach a lot more in person, it was one of the most rewarding thing is you're teaching a concept. It's something that we've taught millions of times. We understand it, but then you see the light bulb go off and it's one of those things. Then we build a good friendship. We become mentors. It is something. So I love that you said that. I think that's great. And my final question to you, Jack, would be this. What would you like to leave our NASM community with? I mean, you just talked about all of these steps on the business side, which I think is super, super important. But then if there's just key takeaways, and then if you could also mention how somebody can start with TRX, if they've never really used one or they've seen one, if they want to grow within your community, what are the steps to get there?
Yeah, well, one thing I'd leave, respectfully, join us on the journey and let us help you on your journey as well. So I think the more we can do together, the better off we all are. So that's foundationally what I'd say. To get more involved, there are lots of different ways to get really involved with us. One is to reach out to the many people who, my guess is, we're all 1 degree of freedom away from each other here, or a couple degrees of freedom away. The journey on the professional trainer side, take the suspension training course, that foundational course. It's an investment of time, and I know, and time is the most precious thing that everybody has. You guys have made it easy through the NASM programs to be able to give people access to not just ours, and I recognize other people's courses too, but that would be the right foundational tool. But then we also have our summits, we have our gatherings, we're doing more of them around. Like, check those out. Those are the greatest expressions of our brand. That's when you get together for 2 days, and that's just a great experience. It's just good living. You will have fun. You will make lots of friends. You'll work out like a beast, no question about it. You'll leave it all on the field, but you'll do it in such a good, fun way with like-minded people. So I would suggest, if you can do that, that would be ideal. The suspension training course, to get that foundation, that's going to be great, because then what you'll see is a very low-cost investment in a tool provides you with so much opportunity. I mean, we have this hanging up in a studio here. I have these in my backyard, hanging off of palm trees that I can work out outside. What a great way to do it. Go to your local park, throw it over a tree, like Admiral Kilrain tried to get me to learn back in 2009. I think just joining us on that journey. And then we also have our TRX app. We have 3,000 videos on a TRX app that we can, and they're very good. If you want 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute core, strength, you could just mix and match, and they're fun. So for very little investment, people can get access to the tool, but it's not getting access. It's really getting your hands dirty with it and really starting to use it. And then buy one for your mom, dad, son, daughter, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Like, do it together, right? We do lots of group training, and it's just a blast. And by the way, what I like is you can go with grandparent, parent, child workouts. Everybody does the same thing. Maybe the high school football player is going to lean in a little bit more, and maybe the granddad's going to lean in a little bit less. But you know what? Everybody can work out together, and that's another part of what it's all about. Like, doing this with people you love and people you want to be, with, and you can do that professionally too, right? That's why you guys have taken the time to really get up to speed in the ecosystem. It's just a fun group of people. So if you haven't unlocked that yet, I'd encourage you to do it.
Yeah, Jack, we can't thank you enough for your time, because, again, you are running a major company. But a couple of things, I have totally changed the way I'm redoing my new house that I'm building. The backyard is a hardscape, all about now, as you pointed out, how I'm going to make that space an extension of my gym with TRX. So that's awesome. I can't wait to show you what I'm doing. But also, thank you for purchasing TRX. As lifelong fitness enthusiasts, what a better place for TRX to be, but in your hands and with your vision and the people you're bringing in. That's awesome to us, because it would have been a horrible thing for someone just to look at it as a commodity where they move in, move out. So we know that it's in great hands. We're excited to see where it's going. And NASM and TRX has always had an amazing partnership, and we're excited now that you're coming into that and going to elevate it to the next level.
Well, thanks, Marty. Thanks, Wendy. Look, I'm happy to be here. I'm a bit of a kid in the candy store. Retirement tends not to come with, long work hours, but this is definitely a passion play for me. So I'm having a blast.
Awesome. Well, Jack, I have a feeling we're going to have you back. We got so many other topics. I got so many notes written down. So we'll be in touch for sure. But thank you again for your time today.
Thank you.
Wendy, as always, it's great bringing in guests, but that was a fun one. And I know that I got a lot out of it. I could see your passion, and hopefully our community gets just as much out of that.
Oh my gosh, he's remarkable. And the enthusiasm. That's what we need back into our lives as trainers. Sometimes we
sense of community, getting people together, all that.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. Wendy, great questions. And for all of you that joined us today on the Master Instructor Roundtable, of course, we can't thank you enough for joining in. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the Master Instructor Roundtable.